What's up, everybody? This is Edward back with another video, and this is going to be just a public service announcement to Rashida Schrober. I have no problem having a conversation with you. I really don't think you want it because I'm not one of these. I'm not like a lot of these motherfuckers you talk to. Like real talk. Um, I'm not. So you really don't want to talk to me about colorism. You really don't. But what I will say is this. And I'm gonna just go and share it because a lot of times people want to act like I'm being an asshole or shit like that. I like to talk shit. So I'm going through my channel comments, as you can see, just going through these as one does. And Rashida likes to throw these little threats out here, it seems like. And I gotta say this. There's a reason I want to put this up. Black females don't know how to stay in their fucking lane. There's no really nice way to say this. There's no really non-misogynistic way of saying this. So I'm just gonna say what needs to be said. Black women don't understand how to stay in a woman's place. Now the first thing a female would say or do when they hear that is they're gonna have a reaction because they instinctually have been told that a black man is the last person that could tell somebody what a black female's place is. So their first reaction is going to be an emotional one, and that's understandable. What I mean when I say that is this. First of all you had to do was ask me to change the title because I don't give a fuck about the title. I don't give a fuck about you using a word and owning an intellectual property. And I'm gonna get to that in a second. And I probably would have changed it, but rather than do that, you had to make these little veiled threats, as one does, talking about getting litigious or talking about, like these implied things that you're gonna be a problem. And I don't even fucking know you like that. Anything that I've ever mentioned when it comes to you has to do with content. That's it. But as one does, you have a basically superiority complex, which is driven by ego, which is where a lot of this you going crazy all the fucking time comes from, because you actually think that you have the right to go nuts like you do. And you actually think people are supposed to actually be around you when you do it and deal with you when you do it. Um, you want to talk about intellectual property. That only goes so far. Intellectual property is for people making money off of your property. On that stream, I didn't get any donations. My channel's not monetized. There's this little thing called fair use. Let me give you an example of a bigger company that's way larger than you. It's called Star Wars. Now, Star Wars is very quick. I don't want to say very quick, but Star Wars can censor some stuff. They can put that tag on people, but they have make it so much easier to put that tag on than other people. Here's the reality of the situation. If you were to go to YouTube and tell YouTube that you want to put a tag on me or whatever you want to do, YouTube is going to look at actually, no, they won't, because they're going to see it's a black man and they're going to do something. But if I were to make the appeal, me putting the title of your fucking book in a goddamn title does not really give you cause to it doesn't give you cause to try to pull that bullshit. I mean, shit, like the fair use is really designed to deal with when people use video that can be considered copyrighted. You don't get to tell people when they could put a title or a word that you want to claim as a title, which is a word that's actually in the title of whatever book you made, and then say who can make that, who cannot make it. There's a difference. If people are actually making money off of it, then you may have a case. But if somebody is putting it up for the sense of discussion, you don't get to tell somebody what to do with that. Now, part of that would be what she's gonna say, well, she's probably done it before, and YouTube has done whatever they've done in one of people. That's what she'll fucking say. And that may be the case. I don't know. But what I would say is rather than worrying about a fucking channel that has less than 3,000 people on it, because you're doing fucking Google searches, because that's the only way you would have found it. You're doing Google searches, desperately hunting for people that may use your property because you've got the sauce. I mean, shit, Christy probably makes more money off talking about you. You're probably like fourth in the color. I'll probably say less than that. You're fourth as far as who I know. Paris makes more money than you doing this shit. Fucking Chrissy makes more than you bitching about this shit. And they don't use darkism to do it. Also, I'm saying this is a courtesy because I'm not an asshole, although I can have asshole tendencies. If I wanted to be an asshole, this is what an asshole would do. An asshole would go to GoDaddy.com, and an asshole would basically type in darkism.com. And what an asshole would do would see, it's a premium domain, but it is available. And an asshole would buy it, and it's saying darkism is about $2,200, $2,200, $2,295, right? Which I'm not gonna be spending that money to be petty. But GoDaddy gives me all these keywords that are around it. The darkism, darkism, whatever. And as an internet marketer, I would basically collect keywords around darkism, adding, a word before, a word after, by all the .nets, by the .nets, by the .coms, by the .infos, anything that matters. And even I wouldn't even need to do that. I would just need to really buy one or two. And I would basically use my internet marketing skills to basically promote that shit on Google. And actually, what I would do is I'd fucking get Bo Derek having cornrows or get another white bitch with fucking dreads. And I would do a gallery on that shit and completely pollute your fucking Google search engine. And there will be a goddamn thing you couldn't do about it because you only have that one fucking word. That's it. So whenever anybody were to search that shit, they would find a white bitch with cornrows or a white bitch with fucking dreads, just to make your ass look dumb. That's what I would do if I wanted to be an asshole, and it would not take me a lot of work to do it. Hell, I could probably pay some Filipinos to actually do the SEO shit just for a couple of dollars. I know ones that done it for me before. I'm dead ass serious. And this is not a threat. This is just telling you sometimes you need to know who the fuck you talking to and who you're talking about. I will literally take the goddamn Google image engine and fill that up with nothing but fucking white women that are appropriating black females just out of spite. And it wouldn't take me that much time to do it. Like, seriously. It's not that hard. Because really, the darkism thing, nobody know. Like, if I would actually type this shit in Google, and I'm doing this shit in real time, because it's ripe for somebody to take it. Only thing that's up here is some Amazon shit, some Bars and Noble shit, some GoFundMe shit. That's it. Which means Google doesn't. That's code for it. There's really nothing there other than a book. So if somebody wants to amplify it, they can. That's all it is. I could literally take this shit because all this is a bunch of links of you trying to get promoted, and I will literally pollute this shit with nothing but white bitches just because. Like, seriously. and there would be not a goddamn thing you could do about it because you don't your intellectual property only covers you being able to make money off of it and nobody trying to make money off it. And that's to the extent that I believe that you even have it covered like that. I haven't even checked because clearly the domain is up for $2,200. So if I wanted to buy a domain, I could do that. It's up for sale. It's premium, but it's up for sale. If it wasn't up for sale, it wouldn't let me buy it. I'm not like the problem, and see, this is the type, honestly, see, this is what white men would do is they teach lessons. They basically teach lessons and show them they don't do what I'm doing, which is kind of, you know, say, hey, you might want to control your own shit and get control of your shit, really control, because just because you own something doesn't mean I can't create keywords around it that if anybody types it, the same shit pops up. It doesn't matter. The stuff you owning a word does not mean anything. I could easily put something before and after. I could easily put dark ism as in dark IZM, and there'd be not a goddamn thing you could do about it because it doesn't cover what you're trying to say it covers. Also, if you can't prove that I'm actually generating income from anything, there would be nothing you could do either. So you really need to be careful about trying to low key threaten people, trying to low key think you running something because you not. Nobody gives a the manosphere rarely talks about colorism like that unless you all are coming through here crying. O'Shea has given you plenty of free publicity you didn't have to pay for. So miss me with that. I'm not trying to be too much of an asshole about it, but miss me with that shit because really, really need to stop fucking with people. Thinking like, oh, I'm tired of these females who want to get litigious for no reason. We got motherfuckers calling black men God knows what, and she's doing search engine keywords. I know that's what you're doing. You typing in darkism in YouTube, and that's the only way my channel could have came up because the way I title my shit to the point where YouTube doesn't know what the fuck to call it. So usually a lot of people that's pulling my stuff is suggestion engine. That's all it is. And it is what it is. I mean, I'm looking at this shit as we speak. Yeah. I mean, seriously. And in fact, I could do the same. I could actually do the same thing to the. If I really wanted to be an asshole like that, I could do the same thing to the YouTube channel. I could push your shit all the way down so nobody will find it. I really could. I mean, nobody's really never seen that side of me in the manosphere because I've never really activated that type of shit because once you open the doors for that, there's backlash that can happen. And I'm really just it's not worth it. But I'm just saying, like even right now, I'm looking at her shit and she's all dark skinned women do not swirl. Talk about selling tickets, selling all of that. I mean, like, please, we don't want to start playing games here. That's all I'm saying. No, I didn't get flagged. Oh God, no. If I were to get flagged, that's it. I'm telling you right now. If I were to get flagged, oh no. I haven't been flagged, but if I were to get flagged, that's it. I'm nuking shit, like for real. And let's be clear here. I don't make money in this space. So this space is not an investment for me. But I put enough time in this channel that despite that I don't make money, if somebody were to flag my shit, that'd be game over. But I just wanted to make that little statement. I didn't want to, be labor to shit. I'm just saying, like, get the fuck out of here. Seriously. Mother, it is what it is. Anyway, so let me do this. What I'm gonna do, I, I'm trying to think what I want to do. Should I continue on with some? I mean, well, I'll say this: when it comes to colorism, I'll give a couple minutes to speak on the colorism. Look, man, a lot of people, a lot of black men. Here's the reality of the situation, man. the reality of the situation is black men, like black men that really have options. I'm talking about in the law averages. Black men have the capability of not really worrying about what black women think. Outside of like what I do, which is trying to understand the social dynamics between like the black community, they don't really care. Black men are gonna have their preferences, and that shit is accelerating. This is what I said during the delegation, the dark skinned delegation, and they didn't like that. But at the end of the day, it's not about feelings; it's about what it is. Because I'm the type of person that I want to know where something is in order for me to know, okay, this is where I'm at now. How do I move forward? This attitude that people have where they don't want to be told what the truth is, even if it's accurate. I mean, that's not going to help you in the long run. I mean, so me saying that is not me saying that to diss anybody. When you look at these millennials, if you look at Gen Xers and you look at millennials and then you look at millennials, there is a clear dive. There's a clear dive in how black people interact with each other and shit like that. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. And the problem is the problem you really have is folks are really delusional as to what's really going on. They're really delusional as to they don't want to accept the truth. And if you can't accept what the reality of the situation is, then there is no real way that you can really improve anything. Because if you didn't accept it doesn't matter if it's your fault or not your fault, it's just what the situation is. And the situation is it is getting increasingly more culturally common for black men to basically look towards other women in order to date, in order to deal with. And is this all black women? No, but most black men are not swearing off black women. What they're doing is they're supplementing them dealing with black women with other women. Meaning, when a black female has got some goddamn sense and looks good to his standards or to whatever he wants, whatever his preferences are, comes along, then she's gonna get a shot unless the fuck shit shows. This is what doesn't get said. What doesn't get said is black men give black women a lot more benefit of the doubt than in reverse. Black men are not black women are much more worse at prejudging black men than black men are. Black men don't prejudge black women like they like to project that we do. Because at the end of the day, the way a black man is trained is a black man is trained to see any womb as value unless that womb doesn't have an ability to get access, or unless that chick is on some other shit. But black men are not just seeing black women and saying no. Now, as far as people's preferences, yes, black men have their preferences. They have their preferences. And there's nothing wrong with black men having their preferences. Everybody has preferences. Even BGS Igmore was tell you that preferences even amongst skin tone can be argued to be social biological. And when I mean that is people are going to look for the traits to give them the advantage in the society. This is why I kept saying that colorism is really something that's boom talk for women, because women are more colorist because they're biologically wired to want the traits that allow them to do what they need to do in their environment the easiest. That's a part of their biological wiring. This is why height is kind of a universal biological trigger, and there's universal triggers, but there's also environmental triggers that over time can create that situation. Colorism is one of those things. But at the same time, to then say I'm going to make all what goes on with darkism. I mean, a lot of that happens because clearly women run the yard a lot more than what they need to be, because women are main ones that are the progenitors and projectors of colorism. A lot of these boys, they learn that from women, and people don't want to accept that. And even Sergeant Willie Pete said that if women wanted to really solve the colorism problem, what they're going to have to do is make a push to want to have how a black woman is viewed, not only in mainstream media, but also in sub media change. And at the end of the day, black women are perfectly fine with how black women are represented in the media. They just care about how much they are represented. Because a lot of these shows that are not really featuring attractive black women are shows that black women damn sure should support. But the problem is black women see having to sexually compete for black men is something that's beneath them. And that's their problem. You're not going to be able to skip the step and then take dudes like take Gabrielle Union, for example, with Dwayne Wade. Take Sierra, for example, Russell Wilson. Sierra is 4 years Russell Wilson senior. Gabrielle Union is 10 years Dwayne Wade senior. Those were on the walls of those guys when they were younger. And you see how that impacts them today. Same thing with Nick Cannon and Mariah Carey. So the problem can actually be solved, but the real issue is black women have too big of an ego to handle it. This is why a lot of times you see a lot of older black women that are sitting here hollering about shit that happened when they were kids. Because it's really about an ego and access to grind. So it has nothing to do with these fucking little girls. Even when people say I don't want to have I didn't want to have a dark skinned child, what they're really saying is I didn't want to emotionally have to deal with what a child would primarily have to go through. It's all about them. And it always is. And I say this the way I say it is because at the end of the day, very few people, what I call win the quote unquote genetic lottery, where they have zero problems. Even black men, like as somebody that's short, I'm 5'5". There are certain things that I don't have to worry about as a black man that dudes that are like 6 foot have to deal with every day. Now, does that mean that if I could trade being 5'5" to deal with their problems, that I wouldn't? I probably would. But at the same, because I probably would. But at the same time, no, everybody has their problems. Everybody does. I can move into society in such a way that because I don't really push out red flags on people, there's certain things that people might do for me that they wouldn't do for the next person. We all have our advantages. We all have our disadvantages. I mean, that just is what it is. And some people have things that they wish wasn't real. Because look, at the end of the day, females, I'm not saying I deplore skin bleaching, but guess what? It's an option. I can't make myself taller. Do women have the option to add ass, add titties? They have these options about it. I don't have. We have to deal with the card we're fucking dealt. And even something as simple as having a decent and pleasant attitude, which is something that the majority of black women act like they don't want to do with black men. Shit, motherfuckers can't do that much. I always promote a Marilyn Negra because I think she's a very attractive woman. And there are other dark-skinned women, but she's one of the few that actually puts the shit out there. It's not like Lupita Nyong'o. Lupita Nyong'o is not ugly. She's built like a model, but she's not built like somebody you'd want to be with. She's just not. Let's be real. Black men do not like bony bitches. And I'm just going to say that just like that. And Lupita's built like that. And certain Africans are built like that, and that's okay. But that's not preference. So is that all of a sudden, if you don't have a fat ass, are we going to now have the flat booty brigade? And people want to say that I'm minimizing it, but I'm damn near true. I'm dead ass serious with this. Like it's and it's not me trying to minimize anything, but this idea that people don't have problems is bullshit. And it's really a lack, and it really, black women have a lack of empathy for other people. No, black women have an extreme lack of empathy for black men. Everything's about them, everything's from their perspective, nothing else matters. And the reality of the situation is, and another thing, I think she said her dad was Caribbean, so it's always that shit in there too. That non-ADOS Caribbean, it's always something that folks aren't really saying. Yeah, if Dre, if you want to pop up for a second, you can. Maybe one or two of y'all. I ain't necessarily putting everybody up that's coming up because I'm not. This is not going to be a long thing. And I was kind of muting like people like Dre. So I want to give him an opportunity. But yeah, it is what it is. And at the end of, like, even right now, like, even though light skinned men Jethro Millette. No, that's not Jethro Millette. That's not true. Saying height's not irrelevant. I'm not saying. What I'm saying is, let's be clear here. We're not gonna act like I don't have to go through more numbers or more females than somebody that's like 5'10" would. Let's not play that game. I'm not making not a comment on who I can get and can't get. I date. I've told you I date mostly black women, but we're not gonna act like that's not something women look at. Let's stop bullshitting. But anyway, my point to that is everybody has problems. Everybody has issues. Some of them may be greater than others, but everybody does have problems. And unfortunately, where a lot of well, I mean, yeah, turf and people, and the first thing motherfuckers always say with Amerila Negra is they always say that Amerila Negra is she dates white men. Well, I haven't seen that, but even if I have seen that, that's not the fucking point. Because the fact that she can date a white man actually even further proves my point. Well, yeah, I mean, and I've said it, I've put it out there, but I mean, I mean, it is. But the point is, I mean, shit, Big Boy, all of them, Spike Lee, all of them. But the point is, Kevin Hart. The point is, we all have our issues, and this idea that this thing is gonna be just blown the fuck up to where this is like a fucking white is equal to white. See, what people kill me is they want to talk about shit. They want to make it seem like basically because this part of white supremacy bothers me, this is the only part I really want to address. And my thing is, if you don't get me started, because as much as white women or black women are plugged up with white women and they want to notice how the colorism argument is that's an argument only brought to black men. And this is why I keep saying this has nothing to do with social political issues. What it's really about is who gets to select what mates they get. This is where the ugly girl argument comes from. Because I only see black men being talked to when it comes to color. Like, we do not control the media. We do not control most areas of activity. Yet it only is black men that's hearing this fucking colorism argument. You know why? Because quite frankly, what people want to do is compete for the mates that they want. Whatever 20-25% of black men, whatever number you want to give, that are the covered male specimens, I guess, that these females want, because females are looking at men like men are supposed to look at women. They're looking at what they call the sexual real estate, as Jason Black would call it. They're sitting there crying about that because they don't have access. You have that, and also you have these childish issues with shit when people were children that they're fucking they haven't gotten over it. Well, shit, get the fuck over it, because everybody has to. If you need to get counseling, get it. I mean, shit. But America. Well, America was not. Look, let's be clear here. When it comes to America, if it's that bad, then maybe you need to get the fuck out of America, because there's plenty of articles as well as podcasts of women that have talked about how when they have left the United States and they've gone to Ghana, and I'm not acting like that's some small thing, but they've made that leap. They just had a complete overwhelming sense of mental health and self, you know? So maybe that's something you want to do if it bothers you that bad. If somebody wants to say, well, I shouldn't have to leave, well, maybe you shouldn't. But at the end of the day, that's not a colorism is not the job of black men to solve. Black men have many other problems to solve before colorism. It's not. It's not. And it's just not. Because at the end of the day, we're not gonna act like black men got higher standards for women than black women do. For men, we're not gonna play that game, like, for real. And as far as I'm concerned, if y'all can still get dick from somebody, then it ain't that big of a deal. If you can still get married, motherfucking Tarana Burke is engaged. I don't want to fucking hear it. And I may change the title to that. Tarana Burke is engaged. Case fucking closed. Nigga, shame bitches. No, they don't. Tarana Burke is engaged. Case closed. I didn't want to lead with that, but yeah. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, Lupita, look, like I said, it's kind of like one of those things where you talk about, like, okay, you're built symmetrically, right? But it's just the sexual charisma stuff. I mean, seriously, It is what it is, you know. And at the end of the day, that at the end of the day, I mean, that's not my problem. I mean, it's not. And you know, the only reason I brought this up, like I said in the beginning, was because you know, she want to leave these fucking little cryptic comments and shit. And I'm like, you really don't know you. I'm trying to be cordial. I mean, I'm really trying to be cordial, and I don't have a problem with anybody like that, like that. But man, don't think you just gonna tell somebody what the fuck to do, like you running something. Like seriously, because at the end of the day, you know, you open those doors. Yeah. Anyway, this y'all little, you know, 12 o'clock rant, little afternoon. I know I don't get the opportunity to really do that like that, but you said, do you really think most black women are willing to pay for men? Yeah, absolutely. Depends on the man. Absolutely. I can't even believe you're asking for that question. It depends on the man. I mean, it depends on what man they want. I mean, if they look, you got to understand, if you're a woman that's like a 6 or a 5, and you want a 8, you want a 7 or a 8. I mean, that's the only way you're gonna do it. I call it the Jesse Williams model. What Jesse Williams' wife did with Jesse Williams. And let's be clear here, she got 2 babies out of it. That was actually amicable. He didn't just fuck her and then leave. He left some kids, which he didn't have to do that. People are like, oh, well, Jesse Williams. Jesse Williams has a white mother. Jesse Williams did, you know, yeah, man, Vegas, yo, it's a lot of money, man. It's don't even get me started on all that. It's I'm getting tired of this distractionary bullshit. I really am. That 8 dude. No, you're right. But niggas, but hey, Shane, you gotta understand though, Shane. You know how some of these program Negroes are, man. And by the way, when we say an 8, we're talking about based on what they want. I don't know what they want. That clearly the out, so it is what it is. But and also another thing I'm gonna mention too is when all this other bullshit comes into play, talk about most black women want to be married. Man, I don't know where the fuck you getting that from. If that shit was true, then the numbers wouldn't be what the fucking numbers are. Like I'm tired of that because that's just a goddamn lie. And like I said, that's that. I even hate to use the word delusional because now Tedros is making delusional a fucking bad word because his dumb ass is using it. But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. Like I said, I don't have a problem, with her. But what I'm saying is, motherfuckers, get my email, talk to me like you got some goddamn sense. Black men in the manosphere, we have never had a problem interacting with women for the most part, especially the content creator side. But the problem is women like to, you see, the reason why women like to get on O'Shea shit is because O'Shea has a general talk show vibe unless he's doing a rumble. So he's going to allow people to say what they want to say. He's not going to really challenge it. And I mean challenge it, not no ask the questions that are the devil's advocate questions. He's not gonna really, put people through the rigorous. I'm not saying he can't, but you know how it is with the women. The women are like deer. If you do something, you make one move, they gonna run all like a mile before they even think. So there's a reason why they don't really like to interact with motherfuckers that they know can kind of ask certain questions. And give Rashida credit. She did get on fantastic shit, and that's a lot more than what other people did. So I'm not really talking just about her, I'm talking about in general. But at the end of the day, I don't know how you really believe that you're gonna push a colorism argument and then think you're gonna just guilt trip black men into it. Because at the end of the day, somebody's preferences are somebody's preferences, especially how you're going to do it without engaging with black men. And that's something that all of these women that talk about colorism have in common. They tend to they want to have, it's like talking to a Democrat politician when it comes to black people. They want to talk to black people under very controlled circumstances. They do not want to have like an open forum town hall or some shit like that It doesn't even matter if because if they dealing with people that generally know how to talk, act like they got some sense, because they don't want to be asked certain questions. They don't want to be asked certain questions. They don't want to be. They don't really want their arguments really challenged, because they know a lot of this stuff can fall apart. And it's very obvious because with all of them, they pairs, all of them, they tend to not want to interact back and forth. They don't, because they know a lot of there's a lot of holes in a lot of what they say. They know it's a lot of stuff they add in there that they shouldn't add in there, and it is what it is. Well, even when Elise came on here, I mean, I let Elise talk, but it didn't matter what Elise said when it goes left or go right. I mean, because I can always anchor back to what like my stuff. It like I can I'm you know I'm adhesive enough to where I can, because I understand the overall narrative is I understand the overall thing. I know what it is. I seek the truth. I don't seek what I want to be true. So I'm not sitting there trying to angle it so it fits a narrative. I'm like, yo, if this is not true, then I'm looking for somebody that can really disprove what I'm saying. Because that's what you do when you experiment. You're looking to disprove what you're saying. You're not looking you're not looking necessary to be right. We're looking, are you the one that actually has some data that I haven't seen so I can go look it up that actually could be plausible, not just shit where you're just pulling out your ass. And the thing about Elise, well, the thing about Elise is in a very hyper competitive sexual market, LA. So when you're in LA, like I promise you, probably if she looks like that, if she was in Atlanta, she probably wouldn't have those she wouldn't be, I'm not saying she has problems, she'd probably be able to do a lot better than what she's already doing. Because so a lot of that matters with that. Also, colorism is extreme. Think about it. Like I said, she said she dated a white dude. That shit, that intermixing is extreme in LA. So LA is a different type of animal you're dealing with. So when a lot of these women like Jessica and all them, they come out of LA talking that shit, or the West Coast, you can already make some assumptions about it. It doesn't even matter how they look, because you know what the market is, the environment that they're in. So a lot of these people get extra pro black. I'm like, when you look at California in general, I mean, black people are like the least united in California. Like seriously. California and Detroit are like two examples of what black people don't need to do. And that's not like clowning everybody that lives there. That's just saying that's what the environment is. Look, man, I hate to say what Glenn Beck used to say, because I used to listen to Glenn Beck when he was on HLN, but then Glenn Beck like went crazy when he went on Fox. But he used to say, like, I'm not a genius, I'm just a thinker. And that I like that, because I don't sit here and try to claim like I'm intellectually superior to anybody. I'm presenting the shit as common sense and rationale. If you have the some shit I haven't considered, then let's bring it up. But a lot of time, but I try to be thorough with shit like this. I don't just pull shit out my ass, and I'm not dismiss. I'm an empathetic person, so I'm not just dismissive of people's arguments. But if the shit doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. And a lot of times, women want people to validate their feelings. Well, if I'm not trying to fuck, I'm not validating shit, and I'm not trying to fuck none of these chicks on YouTube. So I don't approach it from the perspective of I don't wanna fuck up the pussy. A lot of these niggas approach it from a I don't want to fuck up the pussy standpoint. So they really, walking through the minefield of the feelings of these chicks, or they sit there and they just out. It's like how a black Democratic politician is. They want to seem like they down for the people, but at the end of the day, they want the money from the party. So they walk that balance. I don't know. I don't really know how old she is. She would strike me that I wouldn't be surprised if she's my age, and I'm 33. Yeah, Shane, they do want the status. They don't want to be seen, like they do want the status. And dudes have no incentive to give them that status, because we don't get anything in return. Like I don't understand, like I don't understand that. Oh, let me say this too. I want to address Obsidian. Obsidian said that shit about you're a feminist bullshit. I understand where he was trying to go with that, but it's like, dude, where you fucked up is when you sitting there trying to call people a feminist. You should have just put the point out there and let people apply it the way they're gonna apply it. So we're gonna talk. So Obsidian wants to say that if you're a black man and you don't feel the overwhelming need to basically, do a traditional household, then that makes you a feminist. That it's not about being a feminist. It's about saying this is what it's like real estate, where you have high markets and down markets. When you're dealing with up markets, you want to flip houses. You want to flip houses. You want to do a lot of stuff, right? You want to buy more, do all that. When you're in down markets, you may buy in whole. You want to get, tax lien. It's a lot of different stuff. It depends on what part of the market you're in, right? It's the same thing with the marriage market. The laws the laws are completely fucked up. So the reality of the situation is the way the market is, which is artificial, is you can't there's a cost when you look at the cost benefit analysis for marriage. Let's make this very clear. Wealth building and marriage is bullshit. People associate wealth building and marriage because people have made a commitment to each other. It is the commitment to each other that builds the wealth, not the marriage fucking certificate. So the real question is, somebody that cohabitates that are not married can do just as much with that as somebody that's married. There's only a couple of tax benefits that you really get with being married, and that really doesn't override, unless you're actually already wealthy. That doesn't override the liabilities of if you get a divorce and what you generally got to come up with. And when you look at divorce, and so my overall point is, when people like to talk about traditionalism, is really, you can be somebody it's like being a conservative or a liberal. Ideally, I can be conservative, you can be conservative, but if you're in a liberal environment, there's certain compromises you might have to make as heir apparent to the environment that you're in. If you're conservative and you're in Hollywood as an industry, there's just certain compromises you're gonna have to make if you're an actor. That just is what it is. It's the same, especially in this Me Too era. It's the same thing if you're liberal and you're in another environment. You may want, like, let's say, like, you're back in the day where you're liberal, you want to wear tattoos and do all this other shit. You have to, like, compromise that. Now, you don't have to do that as much anymore, but at the time you did. So you can be certain things, but still be in a different environment. And that's the same thing when it comes to marriage and dating. As a man, you have to look at what is the purpose of this, and are the sacrifices worth it? And the reality is it's not. The reality of the situation is you getting into a marriage is not going to help you build wealth any more than you could do on your own. I don't give a fuck about what anybody wants to say. The reality of the situation is, you thinking that you marrying for wealth building purposes is no different than you being like a soft shoe homosexual. You're looking for that one. And here's the funny thing. If you were to make the argument that you're building wealth you're marrying as a mechanism to build wealth, that's saying you can't do it on your own. And that's no different than you living up under a female. It's the same principle, just different tactics. It's the same thing. It's the same 50-50 argument. So even if you're now, the other part of it is, this is what he spoke to more, which is talking about the traditionalism shit, talking about being traditional. At the end of the day, can you honestly tell me that black women as an overall group are really interested in being traditional? So by definition, if you are an unapologetic traditionalist, by definition, you cannot really be with black women. Oh, unless you find a couple of gems here or there, because they're not traditional. Doesn't matter what people want to say about black women getting married. That's bullshit. Especially if you're looking at getting a female of a certain standard looks wise, you're not going to do that, because they're always going to be on this Aisha Curry, I can do better bullshit. So by definition, you really want to be looking at females overseas if you really want to have a true tradition, because the laws only allow you to do so much. And by the way, once you're in a marriage, you can't check a woman by leaving, because there's a financial cost to that. So that removes your only real ability to really control anything. So it's about when it's a different market. So you have to say, how can I get what I need to get out of this market, depending on what your goals are. That's it. That doesn't make you a feminist. That makes you pragmatic. And sometimes he likes to take a step too far off the ledge with certain things, even though I understood what the overall point he had. He wants to talk like if you pay for everything, that automatically generates a female's compliance. That's a lie. You can look at people like Shaq and Shawnee. You can look. I can give you many examples of black men that pay for everything, and you still dealing with an unruly bitch. And when I say unruly bitch, and here's a funny thing about when women would Rashida said that black men, when a baby arrives, black men just change. That's bullshit. But it is very true that women can switch up on you because they're emotionally wired to do so. Say what you want to about black men. Black men are consistent. If they're an asshole, they're pretty consistent. If they're a cheater, they're pretty consistent. If they don't want no kids, they're pretty consistent. Men don't really change like that. So at the end of the day, you know, yeah, at the end of the day, man, that marriage for well-being, and that's that black power argument that's always made. And somebody that's pro group economics, dude, I can tell you, dude, I gotta tell you, man, I've looked at 2 episodes of American Greed, and they both got to do with black females using wealth building as a mechanism to manipulate dudes. Like that shit can be used as a hustle. It really can. No, absolutely payback. That's very true. But people don't want to talk about that because they want to talk about shit in the magical, and they don't ever want to do to really understand what his real value is. That's why I brought it up on the last on Concrete Rose and Danielle shit. I told him, I said, black women look, you can have your standards, but y'all might want to have an honest conversation about polygamy because you all already do it. You all already do it. The only problem is ego. And I don't even like polygamy like that. But real talk, you all already do it. You're not gonna fucking think about it. You got a award-winning singer like Sierra, and Sierra decided to be the 4th baby mama. She decided to do that. She decided that. Now people will say, well, what about polyandry? Well, I mean, what did that's number one, that's fucking stupid. Because but number two is, guess what? A man doesn't have to, when women say that, I would like to ask a woman, map me out what polyandry really looks like in real life. Like, actually map me out with that. Because at the end of the day, do you really expect that a man is going to be loyal to you when other niggas are fucking you? Now, what's the chick's name, the fat ass in Dallas soul music? Erica Badu. So they want to talk about, so Eric, you bring up Erica Badu, Andre 3000, Common, and what another dude, I don't know. And she's benefiting from she has her own money. She's benefiting from the economics of all that situation. Here's the thing though. You have to be a black man that's willing to fuck a single mother. You have to be a black man that has no problem with having kids with a dude that already has kids. A lot of black men have that problem. So, and another thing you got to realize is they all got money. So that shit don't even matter. That shit doesn't operate on the rules of the practical because most people are not going to be in Erica Badu's situation. This is why I brought up Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez is worth $350 million. A-Rod is worth 325, by the way. So yes, she does have more money than him. So these people, they have money. So in real life, where real life shit happens, where a man's economics are going to be a lot more valuable, now what you have to do is see, is he really going to be willing to do that? And a lot of dudes that have options are not. They're not. So when people talk about polyandry, even if you map it out, there's walls that hits. But see, that's that, well, what about Me Too bullshit that women talk about? Now, refreshing it and going back to the polygamy thing, there's a need for actually polygamy. There is a need because you have these women that they have demonstrated by their actions that they're only happy with certain dudes of a certain aesthetic. There is not a large supply of those dudes. Not to mention the interracial competition, it's only going to increase. Doesn't matter how people bitch about colorism, darkism, whatever, it will increase. It's going to, and it's going to increase at an exponential rate because as the women start choosing harder and harder for these dudes, even the dudes that are not necessarily on the top SMA sexual marketplace value, but they have the economics, like they have the physical shit, but they don't have the swag. You're gonna have a lot of non-black women that's gonna go after them because swag is not a requirement for every race of woman. So the shit's gonna get harder. So at the end of the day, and also when you look at how black women and black people mate, they tend to want to mate in a matriarchal fashion, not in an industrialized fashion like what white people are doing. They tend to do the extended family shit. And that shit is built off of a lot of polygamous style, although it may not be absolutely polygamy, relationships. But what gets in the way of that is ego, and what gets in the way of that is westernized socialization. This idea that you're less than a woman if you're sharing a man, even though you motherfuckers are already doing it and you know you're doing it. So my thing is, and I'm not saying this doesn't benefit me, but what I'm saying is, why not make that official and just be fucking happy? Who the fuck, what the fuck do you have to prove? If you're like, I got a question. Who the fuck are if a black one, do you really think, or think about it, if black women, let's say you deal with like a dude's got 2 8s and a 7. Who's really most likely to clown that woman? Black men may be mad because they be like, why this nigga getting all these bitches? But if a black man actually starts talking shit to a woman, why the fuck you with him? You know, when you could be with me, that's gonna make the man look weak. So in actuality, the women are only worried about what other women think, which means the ball is completely in their court as to how they deal with that situation. So when we look at ego, black women are not worried about, because the first thing a black woman would say if a black man tries that, he's gonna say, you mad because you not man enough. So that's gonna shut down any man doing that shit. Another thing too is these women know that they can't hold these guys sexually. They can't. They already demonstrated that they can't sexually hold these guys responsible. So if you're already giving them a pussy, where's the incentive for him to do anything else for you other than guilt tripping him? And there is no incentive, and that's why they typically always look for other dudes to fill the gap when it comes to other aspects of things that they need and they want. This is actually where the polyandry bullshit comes from. And this is why when you hear dudes bring up polygamy, they always talk about it from an idealistic standpoint because they're just having pussy dick stories. That's what they're doing. And this is the bullshit that black people really get into. And this is how you know black people are really not solution minded, they're more fantastical minded. I mean, yeah, oh yeah, you're right. The fours would, but who gives a fuck? They're a four. They weren't chosen. So that can only go so far. Because if you're a female and you have no sexual marketplace value, your opinion doesn't matter because anybody's always say you're making an ugly girl argument. Case closed. So at the end of the day, they are only worried about what other women think that are either close to or at their level, sexual marketplace value wise or economically wise. That's it. You got Mormons playing doing the polygamy game to a certain extent. So I mean, it's not like black women be the first one to do it. So at the end of the day, my thing is people want to talk about solutions, but what they don't want is every solution. There is no perfect solution. Every solution is going to require you to give up some shit. That's why when Elise was on here trying to talk about are men willing to get to be traditional and work themselves to the bone, it was interesting how for her to be for me to be traditional, she had to bring up this old shit of men self-sacrificing. The reality of the situation is men don't have to do that. We live in a service industry. We don't live in a industrial industry anymore. So that work yourself to the bone bullshit doesn't apply. As far as the blue collar industry, black women don't want blue collar niggas. It always comes out that they don't want dudes that are blue collar. They don't want, even though these dudes may be built in the way that they want, they still don't want blue collar dudes because they want this fucking magical perception of social status. Black women are more interested in status than they are being secure. There is sexual validation, status, and then security. They don't care about real security. And this is how you know they're not really grounded in real shit. Now, there are exceptions to this rule, of course, but most black women are wired this way. It's to the level of degrees that they are. Anyway, anyway, well, my thing is, well, first of all, dating interracially is not the same as having children interracially. Now, I don't really care about who you have kids with, but you can, but see, this is where people fuck up because they say they don't care about, you can't, black women cannot say they care about who people date. And you always hearing this shit being brought up in Madame Noir. If you look at YouTube with colorism, like how much social media energy that gets. So women are lying when they say that. They're outright lying. Now, that individual may not care, but they're outright lying. They're outright lying. And I wish black women would stop lying and stop acting like it doesn't bother them. It does bother them. And that's part of why when they do bring colorism up, it's always this pouring, this waterfall of emotional energy because they want to act like they're not bothered. But anyway, I just wanted to, say what's up. I gave y'all an hour. So yeah, Keith, it was, and Keith, I know y'all was smooth. Everybody was getting like annoyed about me saying it, but I was like, you needed to. I'm not saying what you need to hear, but if a nigga like Tedros or a nigga like Gab, them hearing them say it without me pushing them, without me forcing them, without me collapsing questions, and I'm allowing them to say it in an open-ended fashion, that tells you everything you fucking need to know. Because that's what they really think. That's what really goes through their mind. Not know what I'm forcing. So when she made that sales pitch, I'm like, you talk about traditionalism. You act like black men ain't already done the stepdaddy thing. You see, and you got to remember, Keith, you got to remember, black women don't see the men that they're not sexually attracted to. So remember, when she talks about that sacrifice, what she's really talking about is, as a man that has options, are you really willing to be a one woman man? Here's the thing. They can't force those dudes to do that because they've already declared that those dudes are the chosen ones, which means, and there's variability to degrees to that, which means they have no leverage. They can't leverage it's like, I call it the video model rule. Video models can't leverage shit for the most part because there's always another bitch that's willing to do it. There's a whole thing around the corner. So what the fuck are you gonna say or what you're gonna do? Yeah, you could be like the video model, but even then, that shit only gives you so far because there's a whole bunch of good-looking females. You're not alone. Don't even get me started on the dudes start importing females. You're not alone. So the problem is this is why I kept saying that the solution is to open up the market, because the more the market is open, the more it's like TVs. Remember how expensive a flat screen TV used to be? Remember the projector TV? Remember how expensive laptops used to be? Now you can go to that pawn shop, get a bitch for like get $100. You can spend $50 unless you and do everything you need to do on your phone on a laptop. $50 at the pawn shop. Now, that's where we are. And that's the same thing with women. The more you open up the trade pipelines and dudes have more general access to women, by the way, let me look. Like, and I'm not saying this, but I'm just saying, like a ticket to Brazil, a trip to go to Brazil used to be $700. And then you got to pay for the visa. And then you got to do all the other shit that comes with that. If I were to do a Google search and do Google to Google flights, and I do from Raleigh to Rio de Janeiro, and I search it. That bitch is like $400 from where I'm at with no visa. As things get more pipelined out for the valuable males that have the economics and the quality and the economics, they're gonna do that. For the dudes that have the economics The dudes that have the SMD but not the economics, they don't need to do shit anyway. So they don't have choice. With the people they want to deal with, they have very little choice. And that's really what they complain about. Anyway, so with that being said, y'all, appreciate it. This is Edward signing off. Peace.